Welcome back to Six-Sided. Hit the like button. Make sure you're subscribing. Get that bell notification turned on as well. We've got some brilliant topics for you this evening as we look ahead to the Manchester derby, Arsenal versus Nottingham Forest, Chelsea go away to Brentford. Big talking points as well surrounding the charges today, the 74 charges against the breaches for Chelsea. What will the punishment be? Will it just be financial? Do fans, both of Chelsea and rivals, need more? But we are, of course, Six-Sided. We're going to be looking at 6 different subjects and getting the panel's perception on all of them, plus a big take on Cristiano Ronaldo. And if you've never watched the show before, the concept is I take statements that have been made by people across social media or on other shows, and we present them to the guests as fiction or football. Fiction, meaning that they don't believe it. Football, they think it's true. So get the like button hit. Get yourself subscribing right now if you could. But before we go any further, welcome to the panel, first of all. Hello, Tom. Hello, Anton. Ash, how you doing? And welcome back, Henry.
It's good to be back on, mate. It's been about... it must be close to a month now.
It is back close to a month. And I just wanted to say, on behalf of myself, everyone at the Terrace and our community, I wanted to say congratulations on the wedding that was on the 8th of September, I believe. So a massive congratulations.
September, but
6. Sorry, 6. But yes, there we go. We made a bit of a mistake, but there we go. But well done and congratulations for getting married, my friend. And I hope it was a wonderful day.
Yeah, it was second best day of my life after the Europa League win. It was absolutely fantastic. Everything went to plan. Lots of fun. Lots of it just goes so fast. Like all the stress, all the build up, all the planning, and you're walking down the aisle. Your heart's going like it's a last minute winner. You say your piece, have a kiss, walk away, do the speeches, and then it's a fantastic party. But yeah. Big up to everyone. Say congrats. I'll be back on now that the stress of that is back on. The main event is back here, and Ange is back in the Premier League. So yeah, there's a lot to talk about. I've missed so much conversations. I see a gal losing his mind the other day. Tom must be happy as pig in shit now. Liverpool have got Isaac, but yeah, it's good to be back on, mate.
Good, and yeah, as I say, mate, congratulations, and glad you had a great time. We've missed you on the show as well. I know a lot of people have. So yeah, big congratulations to Henry for tying the knot. Yeah, a few little digs in the comment section, but yeah, that's from the nerds and virgins. So who are never going to get married. Do you know what I'm saying? But you are punching a bit, bro. I did see some of the videos that yourself and your lady wife posted, and I did think, God, he's a lucky boy, isn't he? He's a lucky boy.
Don't know about that, but yeah.
There's also hope for you, Ash, because his wife is a ginger, so there's hope.
Sound.
There's hope for gingers out there as well. So it's harder for the men because female gingers are still attractive, less so for the men. But
there's hope for you after all, mate.
I'm just saying.
I wouldn't know what it's like. I've just accidentally got a kid as well. Don't know how that happened.
Oh, did you? Just spawned from the gingivitis.
She's not ginger though. So
that she
lucky
was.
Yeah, I'm lucky to her. Neither are my parents. My parents aren't ginger either, so I'm convinced I'm adopted.
Your dad is.
Apparently, my nan is, but I don't believe that. I reckon I've just came.
Well, none of my parents or grandparents, anybody are ginger, but one of my brothers just keeps having ginger children. All these kids come out ginger, all of them. So. Gingerism. Now, that's one thing I'm still allowed to take the mick out of in this world, which is nice. So it's good to see.
That's one of the isms that's allowed.
Yes. Is that and one of my ones as well, I can take the mick out of povos. Povoism, I can take the mick out of because I grew up a povo. So I'm not letting that one go. Although someone DM'd me the other day and messaged me saying, Terry, is it okay to call Liverpool bin dippers? And I laughed, right? I was like, grown man asking another grown man this question. I was like, what's the context? Like, what's the context? He goes, well, I just want to know whether it's okay to say. And I was like, look, I think it depends upon your background personally. So what do you mean? I said, do you grow up poor or rich? He went, I'm still poor now. I said, well, I don't personally see the issue, but that's just me, right? I said, but what I did say is I think Liverpool fans will try and cancel you. And he's like, why? I said, well, I don't know. Like, if a gay comedian takes the mick out of gay people, they wouldn't get cancelled, would they? Like, And I was like, so why can't a poor person take the mick out of other poor people? I don't know, but I said I'd avoid it. I would avoid it personally, but there we go. First fiction or football question today, which we've got to jump into. It's the first thing we've got to speak about, is based on the charges, all 74 of them, Chelsea should have the trophies they won in that period stripped. I want to go to Henry first on that. Fiction or football?
Football. If we're saying the same as Manchester City, they should have their trophy stripped, then Chelsea would. And that would mean that Tottenham would be 2016, 2017 Premier League champs and 2015 League Cup winners. However, I don't think that will happen. I think this will be dragged out for a long, long time, similar to the Manchester City saga that was supposed to be ended, last year. Probably will be dragged out to the end of next year as well, because they've got a £400,000 a week lawyer. But yeah, you can't threaten Manchester City with the same thing and say, look, because you've got 115 charges, and then because you've only got 70, you're not getting any trophies taken away. At the end of the day, you have broken the rules. What those rules are, I think will come out probably in more detail in the next couple of weeks when we hear more about it. But yeah, for me personally, I do think Chelsea should be stripped. I don't necessarily agree with some of the slander they're getting towards the new ownership, because obviously probably 95% of it was towards Roman. So like anyone who's going, we knew Chelsea's model wasn't going to work. Well, no one wasn't really saying that after they had a good transfer window. But yeah, I'd strip them of their trophies.
Purely for competitive integrity there, Henry, definitely. Not for any ulterior motives.
No, definitely not, mate. Definitely not.
That's crazy, bro.
Before we go, go on. Why is it crazy, in your opinion, Ash, to strip the winning medals of a team that's reportedly cheated in that period?
Because you're going to have to do the same to City, like what's being said. That's 11 out of 16 Premier Leagues since 2009 that's going to be technically stripped. And you can't really just go down the line and just give it to runners-up, because then, again, it creates this whole problem is, they should have been in the Champions League. They should have been Europa League. They may not have got relegated. It becomes this massive problem in football that now, say, people might start taking legal action because they'll be like, we lost 6 points to Chelsea or something and got relegated because of that. It's a very big rabbit hole to go down, and it becomes a big blemish on the Premier League since 2009, to be honest, if we end up saying this. And I think it's one of those things we're all just going to have to take it in our teeth and just be like, look, let's get some regulations in and do better going forward.
So I hear that. One second. I want to present something. So obviously Matt Laura's, because it's very fair to give the full side of this as well whilst we go through the subject. So Matt Laura's come out and said that they've been hit with the charges. In his article, he goes on about the Abramovich era has been laid bare. Chelsea's done their own internal investigation. He has stated in here why sporting sanctions would be unfair. And what he has spoken about is points deductions now would be unfair. And the real big reason is Chelsea found these anomalies. Chelsea have investigated. Chelsea have cooperated. Chelsea have allowed the FA to thoroughly go through their books. The complete and the Premier League, the complete opposite to Man City's charges, where they've also had an additional, I might get this number wrong, but 20 plus charges for non-cooperation. So it's been the complete opposite. He also says that he's also in this article, along with other journalists today, like Ben Jacobs, Sky Sports, have stated that Chelsea claim. So this hasn't been confirmed by the FA or Premier League, but Chelsea claim that they have gained no sporting advantage. These payments were purely ways of circumventing tax, and they've now resolved that with HMRC. So their point is that, yes, we broke rules, and yes, there's a lot of breaches, but it isn't particularly major. It didn't give them any advantage on the football pitch during this time period. Based on that, if there's no advantage on the pitch, Anton, how much of a punishment should Chelsea face, considering that they have cooperated fully?
It's a tricky one, because obviously it was the previous ownership, and as you said, they cooperated. I wouldn't strip titles. I don't like doing it, just because there's two sides to this. As the second place team, as a team that never really actually earned it, I don't want to be given something, especially from like years ago. It just feels weird and it feels fake. I would just, what I would do is probably just put an asterisk instead. Let them keep it, but put an asterisk next to their name. So anytime that a Chelsea fan can bring up, oh, we won the title, blah, 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 in this X year, you can always just go, well, asterisks, you know, it's debatable whether you actually earned it or not, rather than just stripping them fully of the title.
Sorry to jump in. I want to ask you a question. I get that you don't want to have them awarded to you. It feels like you didn't deserve it. Let's just remove Chelsea from this. I want Chelsea fans to join in with this conversation as opposed to feeling like everyone's attacking them. If you came second to a team by a point, but it turned out that 5-6 members of their squad shouldn't have been there because they couldn't afford them, what about that means you didn't deserve it? Because if they didn't have those players, there is, you know, if we use the Chelsea example, if they didn't have Eden Hazard, most Chelsea fans have told us for the past decade that without Hazard, he carried them to league titles. So without him, they wouldn't have. So I'm not saying they should be stripped because of this, but from your point of view, what makes you feel you don't deserve them because you came second if it's provable that the team you were up against had players in a squad that they shouldn't have done? Why does that mean you didn't deserve it?
I mean, because it's completely hypotheticals. Like, my team was still 1 point thereabouts behind them, but yet at the end of the day, factually, we just didn't do it. Like, whatever the circumstance, like for instance, like in cycling, right? Lance Armstrong got stripped of all of those titles, right? But it doesn't mean that the racer behind him won them either. I get the point and the logic. I just feel like it's just very awkward to hand something to someone that they didn't actually win. I don't want the trophy like that someone else won, and I'm giving it to it 15 years later. It just feels weird. Like I can't claim that. You get what I'm saying? Like,
I think we lose ourselves in this a little bit. I think football is very weird. It's become very weird on this. And what I mean by that is, I want to say this very clearly. And for any Chelsea fans that are getting angry, please listen to my first words. If what Chelsea's saying is true and there was no sporting advantage, first of all, I'm not going to take Chelsea's word on it as the gospel. I'm going to read the report myself. I will make my own mind up as a football fan as to whether or not I think they had a sporting advantage or not. The FA will make its decision, but let's not pretend like the FA hasn't made decisions that we've all disagreed with in the past. But if I read it, if I see it, if the verdict, you know, is that they didn't, you know, they basically they saved themselves £10 million in tax by doing it off the books. And we all sit there and go, I think that was a bit of a nothing burger. Then fair enough. Their punishment should be a small fine, a little slap on the wrist, and we all move on. The other side of that coin is if it turned out they were able to build a squad and they added 10 players to a squad over 2 years that they simply wouldn't have been able to have afforded without doing this. As an example, okay? Forget my team getting those trophies. I don't understand why people are looking at fines now or points deductions that hurts them today. I look at it and think it should only be what you achieved in that period that's taken away. In every other sport, if Usain Bolt, heaven forbid this don't happen, but tested positive, if it turned out that some old results came out and he tested positive and he was doping during 2012, he'd have his gold medal from the summer of 2012 taken away from him. Every other sport strips their winners of what they won when they've cheated, whether it be financially, whether it be doping. In football fans, it always seems to be like, deduct them now. What about the trophies they won when they cheated? Don't care about that. I just find it a little backwards. And I'm not saying Chelsea deserve it. I'm stating, well, even when it comes to City, it's just relegate them, just ruin them. Well, what about all the trophies they won? Oh, don't worry about that. Because I sit there and think, well, if you're not going to lose what you won whilst cheating, everybody might as well cheat. Because cheat and then cooperate. And then
I think
it's confusing to me hearing that side of it.
Terry, I've got a rebuttal to this. I want to know your thoughts on this. So, say Chelsea, this does happen, that Chelsea has like, say, passed 20 million under the rug to the agent to get Hazard to come to them or whatever. Would you think that then every other Premier League team will have to go through the same scrutiny for the books? Because I bet you any money there'll be other teams right now that will have done something similar, but they won't have self-reported, and there won't be this looking through their books to find out all the diligence that they've done.
So there's one thing again, and I hope Chelsea fans are hearing this right, because I'm not trying to stick it on their club. I said this morning, is there's also another theory or side to this. The FA and the Premier League might feel that this is more widespread than just Chelsea. And again, would I be shocked if another 10 teams, 15 teams have done this? No, I wouldn't be. This might be a way of them getting other clubs to come forward. If it's a £10 million fine and that's it, this may be a way of getting teams to come forward and say, oh, we found a box in the cellar from some accounts from 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Looks like there's some irregularities. We're self-reporting. We're going to open up our books to the rest of you. Would you like to come in and have a look? This might be a way of football kind of cleaning up its act before the regulators come in. So that, and by the way, and if you're not going to punish anybody as long as they cooperate, then I think it's absolutely fair to strip nothing from nobody, but you have to apply it unilaterally as long as people comply in the same way. So there is definitely that train of thought here. Do I think Chelsea are the only team that have done this? No, I'm not even saying Chelsea should be stripped. Well, I put a few polls out earlier. I voted on I need more information. My belief is this: if they have gained no sporting advantage, a little slap on the wrist, a little financial fine, I think that is absolutely right. We need clarity on the sporting advantage. That's the only bit I actually care about. I've never cared that Chelsea and City spend money and loads of money. I don't care that Liverpool spent loads of money this year. What I'm looking at, this is for me when it comes to sport, just a personal thing. Sport is about beating people. This idea that do it at any cost, to a certain degree, but within inside the rules, because that's the beauty of sport, is you're winning within a certain set. There's rules created for a sport, and you win within those rules, and that's the beauty of it. If you can just break those rules, whether they're financial, whether they are literal in the ring or on the grass, if you can break them, win, and be rewarded and celebrated for it, then there's no point having any rules in the first place. Does they have to be sort of adhered to for me? Sorry.
Well, what I was saying kind of before was, I reckon there needs to be some form of punishment, but I don't think for the side that finished second, like, I want to remember my victories through the moments that I have as a fan, like being able to see my team actually celebrate it, have bus parades, all those things in the moment. I don't want that given to me years later. I'm like, oh, by the way, we won the league. Like say City go down. Oh, we won the league 2 years in a row. Woohoo! Like that doesn't change anything for me.
I get that, Tom. What's your thoughts on all of this? Because it's a very big subject. What do you make of it, Tom?
The part that gets me is that we gain no sporting advantage from it. If you've made money, if it was done to adverse taxes or whatever they're saying it is, subvert taxes so players can get more money, what's not to say that the only reason those players joined that club or didn't leave that club was because you were able to subvert the rules and give them more money?
Yeah, no,
I mean, I know that there was a thing where I can't remember who said it, and I'm pretty sure it's true. Hazard was going to join United, but United wouldn't pay the extra fees that Chelsea ended up paying, which are now being charged on. So that there, to me, is a sporting advantage, albeit in the very moment it happened, Chelsea didn't benefit on the day they signed him. But
it's the same as Willian.
However many years, Eden Hazard was at Chelsea, he got there illegally. In a way.
Tom, what do you think? Tom, what do you think then? So, because I agree with you with this, but what do you think the punishment should be then? Because that's where I think's the problem.
Well, you've got three options, haven't you?
The problem is that if you punish Chelsea now, you're punishing people who had nothing to do with it. That's the part which is the problem, because the owner who done it isn't there, and the players and the agents now aren't there. So all you'd be doing now is punishing the people who have done nothing and just brought it to light. So it's hard to justify anything in the moment, and I don't see how. Albeit, look, I'm not in the same breath where it's like, I don't want the title. If I'm going to benefit from it, if my club's going to get an extra trophy or two to go into the trophy cabinet, I'm going to sit there and go, oh my God, do you remember when we won it? No. But I'll happily put the number down somewhere and make a note of it. But I just don't see how you can give them any sporting sanctions now.
No, I agree with that.
It's different with City, because with City, it's the same people in charge. And
yes,
so these charges carry over to the same manager and stuff. So it's more it's still not right, but it's more justifiable.
But even then,
on them.
even with cities, there is a little overlap. But if I was in charge and someone said, Terry, you can make the decision, let's just say both are guilty to the nth degree here, so we can create this hypothetical. I would rather strip everything that came before than punish the new group of players, punish the new owners in Chelsea's case. And because for me, that for me is actually a worse punishment as well, in the sense of what is the reason that any of these clubs, people say if you're not cheating, you're not trying. Well, you're trying to win. They were trying to win these trophies and they won them. Removing them, even when it comes to FFP and these types of things, the Premier League, UEFA tries to do, stopping people from competing in the future, how big a deterrent is it? And I'll give you an example that goes through my head. If I could rob a £10 million from the bank, go to prison for 10 years, but keep the 10 million quid, a lot of more people would rob banks because their view would be 10 years in prison, 5 years out for good behavior. It'd be hard. But for £10 million, a lot of people will be incentivized to do that. That's the thing for me. I just look at it and think, if you're still getting to keep the accolades, and this goes for City as well. And there's a comment that came through, I think it was very interesting, that said people have completely changed their outlook on this situation now. It isn't City. This isn't true. The difference is here, and I'll say this again, and I do care what the panel think, but I don't care if the panel disagree with me on this. Chelsea's new owners need a massive amount of credit. Chelsea's new owners, I think, should be lauded for their transparency, their honesty, and their openness in this scenario, because I think more clubs should behave in this way. I think they're looking to do, I think it demonstrates that whatever Chelsea are doing, whether you like it or not, they are being run now squeaky clean, cleaner than you've ever been before in your life. They have to be, because they've opened their books. You can't have the FA and the Premier League and whoever else sniffing around you for 3 years, investigating you whilst breaking rules, which shows you whatever Chelsea have achieved in the last couple of years and whatever they go on to achieve is built upon absolute integrity and honesty. And fans will never admit this publicly. You guys probably wouldn't even admit it on this on the channel. For me, if it found out, there's all those rumors, fan conspiracies that Fergie paid off refs. If that ever turned out to be true, I don't even need the FA to strip those titles. I'm stripping those titles mentally. They would mean nothing to me anymore. Yeah. It would be empty and they'd be hollow. And I think for me,
that's what I was trying to say before about the asterisks. So Chelsea fans who can say, oh, 2-time Champions League winners, I would just be like, really? Like, do those Champions League really mean anything now? Like, there's an asterisk next to them. Like, and they can, it's sort of humiliating from that sort of point of view. You know what I mean?
Do you know what this makes me feel? It makes me feel what Leicester did was even better.
Yeah. It's insane, isn't it? With the big cities, the big Chelseas, the Man Uniteds, the Liverpools, and then the rest of us. And then they've gone out there and we've bet in money and smashed the league to pieces.
I agree. I agree. And look, they'll be listen, if it turns out City, United, Arsenal, any of our teams have cheated, this isn't just about Chelsea. You always get fans. I know in the group chats, I've seen some Chelsea fans like, I don't care, still our trophies. I don't believe any of them. I believe in everyone's heart of hearts. I did this when I was a kid. I was in the final of the Champions League on Football Manager, but saved it before, lost, and just reset it again until I won. I'll be honest with you, as a kid, you're like, yeah, look, you get your brother in, look, I won. In reality, though, you were still sitting there and you felt like, you could go online tonight. They're very expensive, by the way. I looked into this. You could go online tonight and you could buy yourself 1 million subscribers. It probably cost you about 50 grand.
It's nothing that, Terry. I've done it.
Oh, have you? It's one of these things. I didn't know you bought by bots. But the thing is,
if you believe the rumors, we've both done it, Terry.
What rumors?
That's not rumors. It's fact.
Yeah, well,
that I bought bots.
Yeah, I buy bots on a daily basis, mate.
See, people say that to me. They think I buy bots.
Yeah.
Do you know what's crazy? You know what's really crazy about that stuff? I didn't even know that was really a rumor. I see if you trolls say it. What I find interesting about that is the fact that I wouldn't waste my money. It's really expensive. They're really expensive. I've seen sort of a video on this once about buying bots and how bad it is for your channel. It actually damages it because YouTube punishes you. But it's also really, I watched that about 4 or 5 years ago, to be fair. But those sites, I swear they're like really expensive to actually buy it on. I'll let you know now. If you think I do, fair enough. Believe what you want. I wouldn't waste. Honestly, I don't like wasting money. I'm a bit tight like that. I like spending money. I don't like wasting money. I'd rather not get the views and save my money. I didn't know that was a rumor, but there we go. There we go. Terry, could we call Don Cheat? Don Cheeto. John Cheeto is what we could call him. The logic is flawed. If Chelsea had not signed Hazard, maybe Salah and Lukaku wouldn't have been sold. No one can predict what would have happened.
I mean, that's entirely irrelevant.
Yeah, you're
Salah
going
was
down
bought a year after you bought Hazard.
Yeah, I mean, you could. I mean, this is the thing with it, right?
You just fall down a rabbit hole, don't you?
Your logic. This is what I'm saying, right? We can't suddenly start protecting clubs and players in football. I mean, why ban someone for being a drugs cheat? You don't know how much better they might have been better without the drugs. And by the way, you can take anabolic steroids to make yourself stronger and faster. It doesn't always have the same effect on everybody. Some people can become more sluggish. Some people can become ill because of something they take. What if someone takes a performance-enhancing drug, but they don't get better, they get worse? Should they not be banned for breaking the rules? I think we're setting a really dangerous precedent there. There's no need for an asterisk, no question of Chelsea not deserving. The costs were hidden to save tax. There was no sporting advantage. Well, look, this is, of course, what Chelsea are claiming. And as has been said on the show in the first 26 minutes, about 4 times, this may be the 5th. If Chelsea have done nothing wrong and we see no sporting advantage, forget what the FA think for a minute, because a lot of this comes down to the court of public opinion, okay? And if football fans feel that nothing bad was done, you'll get some stick, but you'll be left alone. If fans look at it and go, hang on, the FA have said there was no sporting advantage, but they spent £100 million on agent fees off the books to land players that made their team brilliant. No, it doesn't matter what the FA says. Fans are going to say, well, that reads like a load of old bollocks to me. So I really do think it depends on exactly what's happened. And I'll stand by what I've said. If Chelsea have done nothing much wrong here, if it's a drop in the ocean, I'll back Chelsea. If it's massive and they've gained a sporting advantage, I'll condemn it, because it's cheating. I think that's fair. And by the way, Chelsea fans that are annoyed, you'd be doing exactly the same if it was any other club. So,
for sure they would.
If you don't catch it at the time, it makes no sense to punish it years later after they self-reported. Roman was a supervillain.
I mean that's a very dangerous thing to suggest. That if you're not caught in the moment when you do something, how's it right to punish you years later?
Yeah, I can't imagine. Like, are you telling me, Ronan? Are you telling me if it turned out that Man United paid the officials in the 2008 Champions League final? I'm not saying you'd want the winners' medal, but you telling me you wouldn't want Man United reprimanded for that now? Like, genuinely. If not, then I do get this feeling, Ronan, I love you, bro. This is my feeling with it. I think when people are facing potential sanctions, charges, cheating allegations, people are far more open to, oh, it's okay, don't worry about it, let people off. Where when you're on the other side of it and you feel like maybe you've been damaged because of somebody else's cheating, it's maybe you're a little more open to. I don't know. I can't believe Chelsea fans, if this was Arsenal, it was about, if this was Man United, that this was about, would you be as understanding? That's the honest question I'm asking you. By the way, that's if you have gained a sporting advantage. You may not have done. Take Chelsea's trophy away, but not award them to anyone else. That's fair, potentially.
Yeah.
What happens to an illegal deal? Well, it doesn't look like the deals. It doesn't look like the deals were illegal from a criminal standpoint from the agent's point of view. The agent has asked for a certain fee to convince his player to come. He's been paid it. It's not the agent's fault if Chelsea don't pay it through their books. So the agent's probably in no trouble at all, but we don't know all the details yet. It is only corruption as my team is not involved. Look, by the way, this is what I did say this earlier, and I'll say it again now. Be very careful, though, football fans, throwing big glass stones around, because I wouldn't be surprised if more of this comes out. Just be very mindful of that.
Especially if a regulator comes in. I reckon that there's a lot of people going to be saying different things
I think that's the natural next step. I think actually.
Well, a regulator is on the way. A regulator is on the way. That's why I'm a little more confident that Man United haven't in the last 10 plus years, because we're on the stock exchange, so we're already regulated by various financial authorities and everything else. But I wouldn't say I'm 100% confident with the Glazers around. Like this, all billionaire people, like all billionaires, will always look for ways to circumvent rules and bend things. So yeah, listen, I'd be very again. And if by the way, if Man United ever got caught doing this, I'll come down much harder than them than I would Chelsea or City. Why? Because they'd be ruining my club's history, and ruining my club's history will hurt me a lot more. Because that's all that matters to me, really, is what we achieve and what because Standards FC always talk about, like, you got to win trophies, you got to win trophies. Well, then I'd be very angry at my club if it cheated to win them, then they get taken away. It's even worse, and that's worse than not bloody winning them, in my opinion, because you're tarnishing the memory. Maybe without Hazard, Arsenal might have won the Europa League. Baku, baby.
I don't want it. I don't want it. I said I don't want it.
Maybe. Viewers, do us a favor, please, and hit that like button. Please make sure you are subscribing to the Football Terrace as well. Next question. We're going to move on to Manchester City slightly here. And I'm going to give you a stat here, but the question is, fiction or football? Man City have fallen off. They are now reported to have less than half the chance of winning the Premier League compared to Liverpool. This is backed up by a statistic I'm going to show you here, which has come out from, I think it's Opta. The CISE Observatory. They only give City a 14% chance of winning the league compared to a 28.9% chance of Liverpool. Is this statement fair that City have fallen off and they're only half as good now as Liverpool? I'm going to go to Tom first on this one.
Oh, I don't like the statements of City have fallen off, but it's not necessarily untrue because they don't look very good. They really don't. I think that Pep Guardiola panicked this summer after last season and changed too much, especially in his backroom staff. The Pep Linders appointments I don't get, because you're now trying to play the two most contrasting styles of football at the same time. The defense of Man City is utterly horrendous at the minute. I do not get how they're structured defensively. It makes absolutely zero sense. It leaves them too exposed. They lose control of football matches. This isn't the City that we've seen over the last how many years, despite the fact that it's still a lot of the same players. So for that reason, I kind of got to say they have fallen off.
You got to remember, we haven't seen Donnarumma as well.
I mean,
I think keepers do a lot.
Gianluigi Donnarumma isn't a Pep keeper though. Gianluigi Donnarumma.
No.
He might save a couple of shots, but he's not going to fix the deep-rooted structural problems that City have got because they're trying to do two vastly different things. They're trying to be this dead, calm, composed team in possession that can suddenly eat it on transition, which is something Pep's never done. And then defensively, they want to have this really unique high press where the man-to-man with everyone on the strikers on the goalkeeper. But what that means is basically you end up leaving one of the outfielders for the opposition team completely unmarked. And that just means the teams, because the Premier League is at its highest quality point, arguably, as a whole collective, means a lot more teams are able to play through you. Brighton, once they brought on them 4 substitutions, brought on more players who were comfortable with the ball, Brighton killed City for the last 30 minutes with the ball. City's press couldn't do anything. City couldn't get near them. And it was just it was a matter of time before Brighton broke them down. Tottenham, same things happen. They don't know what they're trying to do attacking wise because they're caught between two ideologies. Because Pep, he's got his inbuilt thing of we do it my way, and then he's also trying to accommodate this whole transition thing, which doesn't make sense. And then defensively, Tottenham was killing them on the counter-attack because City are trying to play this obscene high line that Linda's employed at Liverpool. But the problem was when you employed it at Liverpool, you had two of the quickest centre-backs on the planet in Canate and Van Dijk, and now he's trying to do it with John Stones and Ruben Diaz. It doesn't work when they're not as quick. They're not as confident stepping up, knowing that if I get caught, I can catch up. So they're now caught in two minds, and they're too easy to play through. They beat Wolves, but I think a lot of teams are going to do that this year. I think they have fallen off. I can't disagree with that statement. I think that statement is football.
Do you think they've got enough goals in their team? Like with Marmoush's injury with Egypt, we don't know how long he's going to be out for. You look at their wire players in Savino, Doku, I think they got combined 3 league goals last year. If Haaland was to get an injury, I'm looking around going,
Haaland's not had an injury, and they still don't look great attacking wise. It's just
you've got to remember Oscar Bob has came in because obviously he had that horrific leg injury, didn't he?
So yeah, but again, even with Oscar Bob, I still don't think they've got enough goals. You want to win a Premier League, you look around, you look. Arsenal have got a 20-goal a season player in Gyökeres plus Saka. Liverpool have got, their front line last year had like something like 80 GA. I just don't. I don't think. I just look at them and go. I see Chelsea scoring a lot more goals. I see Arsenal and Liverpool scoring more goals. I think City will be in a top 4 race this year, and I don't think that's. It sounds outrageous, but I don't think it is.
Well, I mean, Opta, loads of the sort of statisticians, the bookmakers, a lot of football fans. I mean, Anton, do you agree they have half as much chance? They're double. I don't even know what the right way to word it because I'm not articulate enough.
They're half as likely as Liverpool.
Half as likely as Liverpool to win the league. Would you go that far?
Well, that's where this question is interesting because there's, I think, 2 answers to it. There's 2 questions within the question. One is, have City chopped off? Yes, but half. Like, can we pull that graphic back up, Terry? Because I want to see the percentages again, just quickly. Could you do that?
Like 28 and 40.
Right. So, first of all, there are a couple of things on this. Liverpool have a 10% more chance than Arsenal to win or anybody else to win. I just think that's a bit dramatic.
Really?
But yes, I don't think there's a 10% gap.
I think it's more than that.
I think it's a different debate, nothing to do with Man City, but I definitely think that is not a 10%. I think that is way overblown. But
I honestly think Liverpool in this should be about 50%.
No way.
No way. Listen, right? You think how much they destroyed last season? They were clear in the top. We're
going to open a different can of worms here.
No,
but I don't want to open.
No, but I'm saying is
we're talking about Man City here.
Yeah, yes, to do a Man City, double the chance. But I'm saying I think it's much more than double because to be a Premier League winner and be so far ahead of the competition and then spend £450 million on bettering your squad, this is a team that I say should be going for a treble this season.
I mean, if they don't, then it's complete failure. But I don't want to make this.
That's my point.
Topic. This is a City.
But that's what you're saying, though.
Yeah, but it is a Liverpool. It is partly on Liverpool, and partly on Arsenal, because it's saying that the claim I read, it was off the back. It was a comment someone made and loads of likes and everything off the back of one of these stats I saw, and it's that City have fallen off, and it's essentially backing what's being said here that they're half as likely to win the league as someone like a Liverpool right now. But if you look at City's first 3 games, they beat Wolves quite well, but they have not been good again. They weren't good at all against Spurs for any real moments of the game. They had a good first half against Brighton, but once those changes were made, they just looked like they ran out of ideas. And there's a thing I want to put up on the screen as well. I hope I've still got it here. This was an article that came out today. They said Manchester City manager Pep Guardiola has a demeanor of someone whose heart is not fully in the fight as he struggles to recapture former glories. There's a lot of this now being written and said in terms of his body language, behavior. I think he was moaning today about how much money the likes of Chelsea have spent and how if he did that, the world would come down to him. Like, and I'm just putting this, like, these little bits out there. You look at last season as well. There was that demeanor of a sort of a defeated nature. Could all of that just not be? Could a large percentage of that just not be true? I know he's a great manager. City always win, but we always used to listen. In my lifetime in the Prem, United will come good. United will come good. First 2 or 3 seasons, I know Pep's there and Fergie isn't. First 2 or 3 years after Fergie, most people were like, United will be back soon. And it never happened. There is no guarantees just because Pep is there that they're going to get back to past glories, is there?
Do you know what as well is if Pep was to walk at the end of the season, Man City will already have a short list of 10 to 15 people. But I look at Tom said it earlier in terms of the competition of the Premier League. I don't actually think their squad is as good as people make it out to be. I don't think the midfield, when you take Rodri out, is as good as others. Defensively, I think they're shambolic. Donnarumma doesn't fit the system. Haaland's the only goal scorer they've got. I think Pep, at the end of the beginning of the window, said he wanted a smaller squad as well. Like, everything is kind of catered for him, and he's not delivering. And if you look at the end of last season as well, They may have had a bit of run, but they're not scoring goals. If he does leave at the end of the season, I'm not saying we're going to see a Manchester United where we're going to see 10 years without a league title, but it's going to be a good few years before they're back up there, in my opinion. I think it'll be 2 or 3 before we see them, challenging again, because Liverpool have got a young squad. If you take out Salah and Van Dijk, they have got a young squad that will be able to compete for the next 5 to 6 years. Chelsea have got a very
Salah and Van Dijk, quality-wise, there's a massive subtraction if you're going to go off that.
But
you make that up an aggregate. If we go grab what you say next summer, you're all right in terms of the.
Like you could have said that about City and be like, oh, if you remove De Bruyne and Gundogan, for example.
You have removed De Bruyne,
but they've done that, and they haven't. But they haven't.
Right, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's easier.
But they haven't got the quality in the other positions to substitute. So my point is, we let's say we lose Salah next summer. He goes to Saudi Arabia or whatever. I would feel comfortable enough in saying that I know I'm not going to get another Mohamed Salah, but I've got players of quality in Isak, in Wirtz, in Gakpo, who can subsidise that if I get a player who's a level below Salah. So I won't feel that big of a hit. Man City,
but it's not going to make you like as great as you are now. You still subtract. You're still getting somewhat weaker.
We don't know how great we're going to be now, though.
Yeah,
that's the thing with us. We have no idea what it's going to look like with Isak, Wirtz, and Salah together. Because because for all we know, it could be a case where Wirtz and Isak just click, and Salah just starts to fade in games, and you're not really seeing him involved as much because everything's going through Wirtz and Isak. The thing with Man City, I think Pep regrets that contract that he signed. I think if he could go back 12 months, he wouldn't sign that 2-year extension. I think that what the moves that were made in the summer, getting rid of his backroom staff and bringing in new guys, they're the signs of a desperate man and a man who's not 100% in it, and he's wanting something to just. He thinks it's the magic, fix everything.
Ultimately, can I ask another question, by the way? I just want to ask you, Tom, as well. Do you think that this might be a result of maybe some news is dropped on the charges situation in the private, and therefore he's kind of lost his will for competitiveness? And so I just have a weird feeling about this.
There's a world where that could be the case, but Man City have always maintained a very high level of confidence on that, and Pep's always been very boisterous when talking about that. So I feel like that, if anything, Pep strikes me as the kind of guy who, if the charges were real, he'd have that energy back because he'd want to stick one to the people that have charged them. I think it's just the case. He's been here, near on 9 years now? I think that, I know it sounds cliche and everything. I think Klopp leaving was a big one because that was someone that him and Klopp were synonymous for the entire time he was here, the battling together and the standards and the pushing, and they made each other better and they made each other's teams better. And when he went, it's a bit empty. And I do feel that Pep now feels that the course has been run at City. There's nothing else for him to do at City. That's why I feel he's regretting that contract that he signed, and I think the love isn't there.
Yeah, I think he could regret the contract. I don't think it's about the charges. But personally, I agree with Tom. There could be a world where it is, but I don't think it is. City fans will say he did rebuild City. He's rebuilt City twice already. I personally disagree. I think the core group that got him to his first major accomplishments and the trebles and everything else, I think the core group was by and large there. There's players being added to it, but most clubs for the past 30 or 40 years have added 4 or 5 players every summer. We don't call every summer or every 2 years a rebuild. We typically look at it as your key players, your main players, and you might add a new member of the core into it. So you may add a Haaland into the team. You may lose a defender and bring somebody else in, but there isn't this. I look at rebuilds personally, and I think we overuse the word now, the squad rebuild. I look at it as when your best 2, 3, 4 players are aging out, moving on, and you've really got to reshuffle things. This is the first one I think he's been through off the back of building a great team. Not a good team that won, and he got another good team. Oh, this team's decent. A great team. And this is the first time he's had to do it. And I think what one of the issues could be for Pep is it fucking exhausting. It's exhausting being a high-level manager anyway. I also think, knowing it's going to take a couple of years now, unlike before when he came in. Yes, Chelsea had that season when they won the league where he arrived. They fell off pretty quickly after that and haven't challenged for a league title since. Liverpool didn't challenge him for the first couple of years. If we go back and remember, Man United gave a little bit of a challenge under Jose, but 20 points off him. He could kind of build in a little bit of peace. Had he arrived, if you look at what I know in the second season, they did astronomically well. But had Chelsea gone to the next level or maintained themselves, if Liverpool were at Klopp's peak level when he came in and were doing that, would it have been I'm not saying he won easily, but would it have been harder for Pep to win those earlier titles? It would have been. And that's what he's facing now. You have to always look at what you're competing against as well. It isn't just about, you get this with fighters. So you might have someone like Conor McGregor. Everyone's like, I want to see him make his comeback. He knows he's never going to be as good as he was when he was 27, 28. But he's also looking at his categories that he fights in. The level right now is mad. So not only is he going to struggle because he's not as good as he was, the level right now is crazy. That's one of the reasons why, for me, he hasn't made a comeback yet, because what he doesn't want to do is get battered again, and suddenly people remember your last 4 or 5 fights and all you did was get beaten up. And I think there's an element of Pep looking at this and saying, do I have the energy? Do I have the staying power to try and get this team back to the top whilst I'm up against the best Arsenal team that we've seen in 2 decades, an amazing Liverpool team. Chelsea are genuinely back on the rise. There's more and more money in the league now. It's harder to get the players that I want. My team is probably in its worst position since I've been at the football club. Sitting through that is difficult. And there's an upside and a downside. You leave now, it will definitely not, I want to make sure people understand me when I say this. It won't damage his legacy, but it will go against him when it comes to the GOAT debates. If he just leaves now, leaves at the end of the season without doing it.
It's not the best look for it.
No, it isn't a great look, but
he did it with both Barca and Bayern, by the way. This is the longest that he's actually been at a football club.
I agree. No, I agree. And I think that, for me, then it's a case of, but if he stays, even if he doesn't win the league this year, if he stays and then does build this team, gets them back to somewhere near that level of his last great team, wins another 2-3 league titles, re-signs and does his contracts, what that will do for his legacy is astronomical, because rebuilding teams isn't just about understanding the change in contrast of football. It's having the willpower, the discipline, the energy to stay where you are and do it. I think it's easier to change teams, go from one giant team in England to a giant team in Spain to a giant team in Italy, that each time they're the most dominant force or one of the most dominant forces with the most amount of money. It's hard. It's not an easy thing to do to get the teams to those levels. But I think there's like a rejuvenation of energy when you move. A change is as good as a rest, as they say. And I think that he's in this little limbo point now. Do I stay and go through the pain and achieve like the ultimate greatness? Do I leave now? Do I do something else? I think his mind's probably in a little bit of limbo.
This was like Arsene Wenger in 2007. Like that's point for him.
I think he's stuck in a middle ground at the minute where football's evolving around him and he doesn't have the time with City to catch up. I don't think he thinks he's going to see this City rebuild through. Rebuilds don't happen in 1 or 2 years. They take 4 or 5 years to get through for most normal teams. So if we just put that time thing on it, I don't think Pep's got another 5 years in him at City. I think Pep, like I said, I think Pep was done last year, but he stayed on for some reason. I think that because he said it very openly back in the last season, you can see it with the way they're playing now. Pep is insistent that football is becoming a transition game. If you win your transition moments, you win football matches. Pep would have to change a lot for that. Pep would need time for that. I think Pep understands that he himself hasn't got the time for that. He doesn't want to put himself through another 4 or 5 years at City where he's got to change his entire philosophy to go along with it. I think he went into this season, he signed that contract and went, I'll win one more title, go out on a high, and I'll be done with it.
If I was Pep,
but it's moved too quick for him, and he's now just stuck in this sort of.
I hear that. I'm going to move the debate on because we've got other subjects to get through. But before we do, the Manchester derby is obviously connected to this weekend. How do we see the game? I
forgot that Manchester derby was this weekend.
How do we see the game? How do we see the game going, Henry?
Is it at? I think
it's at Etihad.
Etihad, yeah.
I mean, you look at. I mean, I'm going. Someone just said my score, Kingsman. I'm going to go over 2-2 Desmond. I think it's going to be not the best game in quality. I've got a feeling Bruno Fernandes will turn up like he normally does. I think cagey game. I think if United, thing is, you've got two managers that are under pressure. If Man City were to turn up like they did against Wolves and score 3 or 4 goals, the daggers are going to be out for Ruben. If Man United pull out, a Jose 3-2 performance with someone like, where Pogba got that brace, someone like Bruno pops up and they end up nicking this, people are going to have the daggers out for Pep saying, hang on, you've lost 3 of opening 4 games. I think it would be cagey. I think it won't be a fast-paced game. I think it'll be a very, very slow game, lots of tackles, lots of bookings. 2-2. I'm going to go for Bruno brace as well, just if anyone wants to chuck a fiver on it. 2-2, mate. I don't think it's going to be the best game you'll ever see.
What do you think, Anton? Could there be a sting in the tail here from United? Could they damage City's title hopes further? Or will this be sort of the beginning of a redemption arc in the league in the early stages for Pep?
Yeah, it's tricky because it's like two teams who are both having issues. So the question is, whose issues are bigger, Man United's issues or Man City's issues? I still think City win it just because sometimes this stuff can be tricky. Like, I don't see Pep losing 3 in a row. He's also had 2 weeks to kind of sit on that Brighton defeat. I know they lost Mamouche extra to injury, but they're still at home. I just feel like saying United, I could obviously have a better chance than they would have, but saying United all of a sudden would win the match away from home, I think is a bit too much of a stretch. I still think that City's overall quality should get them there, and I just find it very hard to see Pep lose 3 matches in a row. I actually think City pull it. I'm going to go 2-1 City.
It's funny that we say all this because Pep done all this last season. He lost the home game against United last season. He lost 3 in a row last season. It's not out the realms of possibility for Pep Guardiola nowadays. That's the mad thing.
I was laughing at Lou's comment that's on the screen.
Oh my god! Is it that?
3 more for the haircut.
Is it really that bad?
Yeah.
Jesus
the worst
Christ.
thing is, I can actually believe it.
No, that's the thing. It's
true.
Has Ruben Amorim not won 2 Premier League games in a row?
Is that actually? That's that's crazy.
That fella's never getting his haircut. That fella's never getting his haircut. Honestly, God.
I think we win. I think we beat them. I think we beat them 2-1.
I'll be honest.
Go on.
I can see it's a 0-0. It's one of the worst 0-0s you'll see.
I'll take it. Do you know what, for me, like I heard someone today, I don't know who I heard say it, something United need to start having performances. And I was like, we've had, barring the Grimsby game where we actually played back, we've had performances, we haven't had results. I'm still just on the performances. I want to perform well. Of course, I want to win as well. But yeah, the performance is key for me. Like if we draw but play well, I'm actually a little bit happier than if we stink the place out and nick a mad 1-0 win. Because I think there's more growth in performances than there are just nicking wins for us in our circumstance right now. But I think we're going to win. I think we're going to win 2-1. I think that City, and I expect us to go there and get something. I don't care about last season that much, and anyone who's ever taken Arteta's FA Cup away from them, you can't care that much about last season either, because that weren't Amorim's team, was it? Didn't have his own players. It's a little bit of a dig in there, but there we go. But I just look at it and think Pep's team's susceptible to counterattacks. I need to see our starting lineup. I need to see whether Cunha's fit. That might change my mind a little bit, or if he's in the squad. But I just think Mbeumo is going to be so dangerous on the counterattack. They've been susceptible all season. Wolves did it to them. Brighton did it to them. And Spurs did it amazingly. We are a team that is set up to play in the transition. And I fancy our chances. I fancy our chances to do it. I don't think City are incapable of beating Man United, because that's how people will twist what I say when I say I think we'll win. But I think United will do it 2-1.
You're trying to not upset the football gods. I see what you're doing.
It's just me being me. Like do you know what it is? You get this a lot, don't you? Someone will go, "We're going to win 8-0." They'll scrap a 1-0. I told you I was right, man. We won. Like, no, someone that predicted 1-1 was closer to being accurate. So I'm building something at the minute, a website that each week on this show we can put our score predictions into, and it creates the real league table, but also like where teams would have been if you were right. So by the end of the season, you can see how wrong you were. But the way we're going to do it, you get points for being. So, for instance, if you pick 4-0 and it ends up being 1-0, someone that picked 1-1 is going to get more points than someone that picked 4-0 because they were closer to being right than you were. Because I'm sick and tired of people online predicting bullshit results, being completely wrong, but because the sort of score lines been completely wrong with how the game was going to be played, how it was going to go, the score line, and then going, see, I told you it'd be a draw. Yeah, you said a shitty 0-0. It was an amazing 3-3. You were completely wrong. You weren't right in almost any capacity. So yeah, we're building that, and the viewers will be able to use it as well. So I'm having an engineer guy build for us because I wanted to do that just to look at it. But moving on from that game and onto other subjects. What one am I going to next? Oh, do you know what? We'll go back to Chelsea for this one. This is an interesting one that I read today. What's the minute of this show so I can timestamp it right? Fiction or football, and I'm going to go to Ash first on this. Fiction or football, Chelsea have not looked good this season. Brentford will take points off them this weekend.
Fiction. no shot. Like I'm going to ask this question before I answer the rest. What do you guys think of Bournemouth? Do you think they're going down?
Bournemouth.
Bournemouth.
Bournemouth. No, I'm saying Bournemouth.
No
way. They're top half.
The reason why I'm saying that is because Brentford had 34% possession against Bournemouth.
Right.
Does that seem like a team that's going to be beating Chelsea? No. And then against Villa, they had 23% possession. They're just not going to get any points from this. I'm sorry. They're going to be dominated, and it's going to be a very, 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 very one-sided game. And I think Chelsea could literally be like 4-0 this game, if I'm being honest.
Very weird. I think this is the banker of the week, to be honest. I mean, next to Liverpool, Burnley. Like, I just think it's a crazy take.
But it's irrelevant of Chelsea being away. I think it's literally going to be a 4-0.
I think with Chelsea. I think Chelsea with João Pedro. I know Tom's not going to want to hear this because we had plenty of back and forths on this in summer. I think with the players that got around him, he's going to have a field day against that Brentford back line.
Is he allowed to play? Did they not get concussion during the international break?
Unless I've missed something.
I swear I saw him have to go off in like the first international game because he was spewing up after concussion.
But I actually have no idea what's real about this stuff because I swear to God I heard Bruno Fernandes broke his 4 times in this international break.
He's the one player I've never seen get injured.
Hang on a minute. Who do you follow on? Hang on a minute. Who do you follow on Twitter to see that?
Bro, someone said it on this stream literally the other day.
No one on our panel said Bruno broke his leg.
No. So someone said in the comments from after the England game.
Oh, that's just trolls.
No.
Trolls.
How did he not get concussion? I thought he had a head collision and got concussion.
Fair enough.
They're going to have a field day, that Chelsea team.
Palmer's guessing this one, isn't he?
I think what this person has done with this statement is I think they're thinking of Brentford from Man United go away to Brentford soon, and people are they always kill us there. This ain't the same Brentford.
It's not the same. It's not the same.
They're done. They're done.
They've lost their attacking. They've lost you think they've lost Tony, they've lost Wissa, they've lost
40 goals.
Bruno. They're just not the same team. And so when I was going to say about the Bournemouth game, the only reason why they won that was because they all they had was 2 shots on target and they scored both of them. Granted, yeah, you need to be clinical, but it's just it's not the same team. Brentford is looking terrible.
Do you think they could go down?
Yeah, 100%.
Easy. I think they're almost guaranteed. I think they're the second worst side talent-wise in the league. That already puts them down.
Second worst.
Yeah.
I think Wolves will be the shock to go down out of the Premier League teams. 2 of the promoted sides will go down, and then Wolves. I think Brentford will scrape it.
I think both Leeds and Sunderland have enough to stay up. Honestly.
I don't know about Leeds.
What have you made of Chelsea so far, though, Tom? Because some underwhelming elements in their home games against Palace and, of course, Fulham with the goal that was disallowed. Did you see what Fulham did, actually? Fulham awarded goal of the month to their
the one that didn't count.
that goal, saying it should have stood, so you're getting the award anyway. Do you think Chelsea have still got a lot to improve and levels to go up, or have you actually been impressed with them and think, forget Brentford for a minute, like Chelsea have just been very good? Like, how do you see Chelsea right now?
I don't think they've been great, but I don't think any team's been great to start the season. Ironically, I think the best team to start this season has been Bournemouth in terms of what I've watched. So I definitely think there's levels for Chelsea to go up. I just, in the back of my head this season, I'm thinking, when's it going to hit? When is that Club World Cup fatigue going to hit? Because these Chelsea players have had no break. If they can keep it going for a full season, I'll be shocked, because they've done a full season, then a tournament, then about 4 weeks, and then back into another full season with Champions League football this time. So even though last season they had they didn't really play midweek until the back end of the season, now they're playing midweek almost every week. That, to me, I do wonder when that's going to hit.
Do you not think they're already seeing it? Do you not think they're already hitting it? Like, they've had Palmer out with injury.
They've had injuries.
The Lindelöf injury as well, I think, is also part of it.
I'm not even including the injuries in it, though. I think that's like a byproduct of it. I'm just thinking you'll see it on the pitch. You'll see these players just being half a yard slower. Everything just looks a little bit more sluggish. And I wonder how long it would last for. But I don't think it'll hit yet. I think that they can ride through for a couple of months first. I definitely think there's levels for them to go up. I wouldn't be shocked if they battered Brentford, should I say. Brentford are making it a mission now to how little possession can we have and still win football matches. That's their entire
crazy.
They beat Aston Villa with 20% possession.
I know, it's
they don't have any killers up front to be able to execute that sort of game plan anymore.
To be fair, I actually don't mind the striking options in Igor, Thiago, and Ouattara. It's like it's about as mid-table as you can get, but it's like an effective one. Thiago's good in the air. Ouattara's quite quick. They can do big man, little man. That can work. Even though Ouattara's quite tall, they can do like a big man, little man type of setup there. It's just I think Brentford played good football under Thomas Frank. They were a tough football team to play. I don't think this manager wants to do that.
Have you seen the next 5 games? They got obviously Chelsea, Villa, who still haven't scored a Premier League goal, Fulham away, Man United at home, and then City at home. They've got 4 home games in the next 5.
I thought you were telling me that was a tough one.
I think that is tough.
They got a mid-table double header at some point there.
You can see Henry's from Essex. He just did not understand the sarcasm at all. It is a tough one. It is. Well, being serious. 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 Tom. Yeah, they're in for a hiding. I actually think Chelsea are going to kick into gear now as well. I think Chelsea are going to. I hope they don't, because they play Man United the game after. But that's of our next few games. I'm far more fearful of Chelsea than anyone else we're playing in our next 2 or 3. Because I think United have City, Chelsea, Brentford, Sunderland. I think there are 4 games, and I actually fancy United to win 3 of those games. I think we can win 3 of them, just not the Chelsea one. I think the Chelsea is just so, because Brentford aren't very good, and look, United have played quite well in the Premier League so far this season. And I think Burnley might be a little bit better than Brentford this year, so I think we can beat them. Sunderland, I think, will come to Old Trafford, and I think they'll attack us and we'll catch them. City, I've already said, but it's just Chelsea. I've got a horrible feeling Chelsea in a week, just over a week, are going to come to Old Trafford and hurt us, because I think they're waiting for a team to hurt, and that's why I hope I hope they smash Brentford up 5, 6, 7.
Better win this weekend then, Terry, because that could be it if you lose to City and Chelsea back to back.
I mean, I was saying this, Terry, though. You've got to remember that Palmer's looking like he's probably going to miss a Brentford game, and he'll be back for the game versus you. So
I need them to get it out their system. I need them to ragdoll someone else. Do you know what I mean? I don't want it to be mine that gets ragdolled about. It's find someone else, man. I'm a little worried. I think Chelsea I think they've looked a little understated this year, but just comfortable. And I know they've had a lot of they haven't scored enough chances. They haven't put teams away like people would expect. But I just think they're warming up. I just think they're finding their feet. Liverpool haven't started the season particularly well in terms of their play and their performances. And when the bigger teams with the better squads start sort of slowly, a lot of people writing Arsenal off too soon. I'm like, these guys are just getting warmed up, man. It's Bournemouth have started like a freight train. That will die off. I actually think I'm more worried about these teams when they don't start great as in performances, but the wins are there. And yeah, I just think by sort of match day sort of 5, when they come to Old Trafford, I'm very worried about that.
Do you not think though, Teddy, that this season is going to be interesting to see how the Chelsea players handle the Club World Cup fatigue rolling over because they had very little summer break?
Yeah, but I think that will be more March. We see that. I think more March time that will come round and everything else, and we'll see. I suppose the one caveat I would throw in for Chelsea this year, as in, because I still think they'll be involved in the title race in some respects. I think the one sort of caveat I have is more how they handle 2 games a week when the Champions League starts. That for me is maybe that impacts the fatigue later on down the line. But I still remember what I think it was Luka Modric said about 4 years ago, and he just said that he said he and everyone else in the Madrid team and most pros he speaks to, they prefer playing 2 games a week because there is a kind of, it keeps you really fresh as opposed to anything else. Now, there's sometimes a benefit to it. I think Arsenal season where they had no Europe, the season after that, they challenged for the league title. I think that year of 1 game a week, being able to train, implement the system, I think really helped them, even though the back end of the season they fell off. And I actually hope that helps Man United. But generally, teams like Chelsea with the size of their squad, they need 2 games a week. So I've got a feeling, I think they'll be absolutely fine with it. I think they'll adapt to it really, really well. I don't think they'll have a problem. You mean half the cheaters? Yeah. Let's do a few of these super chats here. Ronin here says, I honestly, it's how I live my life. I would give the same answer for any team, just not my own. Actual cheating in real time, ban them. But most cheats don't get caught in real time. Most cheats, like most men that get caught cheating, they don't get caught in the act in the bed. Do you know what I mean? Normally it's, a week, a month, 6 months later. Hey. Do you know what I mean? Like most cheating is later down the line.
Do you know what? Thinking about this, I don't know why, it just made me remember what happened with Sandro Tonali. He cheated over at AC Milan, and then it affected when he came over to us. So
I see you hold no resentment over that either.
Oh, mate, that was like a whole year.
Yeah,
it was so
Ronan, if that's your way, then fair enough. I just can't agree with it because I look at all trains of thought in the same way. In certain scenarios, you might go, that makes sense. Then you've got to start applying it more unilaterally across cheating and see whether it starts stacking up on the more examples. And the more examples you put it under, you go, doesn't work. And when you get to a point where it's not working on most of them, it's like, well, you can't, it's like, if you're not going to punch a club because it's new owners, new team, what happens if a player is, what if a goalkeeper's match fixed 10 years ago and now they find out? Should he not be banned now because he's at a new club? No, he's got to be banned. He match fixed. Like how far do we take this? I don't know. But maybe it's because Ronan, you're in the States and you guys have that. What's that thing you guys love over there? The something about limitations.
Statute of limitations.
Statute of limitations. Yeah, that thing. Americans love that, don't they? Within the same era. I don't know what you mean. You need to let me know.
I think he's saying it's different because it's different owners. It's not the same Chelsea era.
I mean, 2022 is still only 3 years ago.
It's a good point. They have fought. This is Wayne talking about City earlier. They have fallen off. The replacements for KDB and other players aren't as good. Still a very good team and good players, just not as good. Yeah, it's the word fallen off because don't associate it to United's fall off, or where Arsenal dropped to. But they're definitely fallen off that top level that Pep had them at. I think that's just an absolute fact. Will Z here says that same old Chelsea always cheating. Smash the like button 74 times, please, people. The next question I have for you all. Oh, do we go on to Arsenal or do we do Cristiano? Let's do Cristiano Ronaldo. We'll come back to the games later. Okay. So, fiction or football, Tom? Cristiano Ronaldo is the greatest international player of all time.
He's the okay. No, he's probably scored the most international goals. That doesn't constitute being the best international player ever. So, I mean, is he? It's going to sound horrible. Is he a better international player than Messi? Because
No.
what do you quantify? Lionel Messi's won everything that you could win on the international level.
Precisely.
I don't have the goal stats to hand, but I don't think Lionel Messi will be hundreds of goals away from Ronaldo on the international stage. It'll be like
is even Messi the greatest?
One sec. I want to give you a stat. I want to give you a stat here. Just crazy, but I want to give it to you. So, active international top goal scorers. As you can see, Cristiano Ronaldo's on top. Cristiano Ronaldo without penalties is on top. Cristiano Ronaldo without friendlies has still scored 19 competitive goals. Then you've got Messi. Then you've got my guy, Sunil. And then you've got Cristiano Ronaldo since turning 30 is number 6 on the list. I mean, he's obviously won the Euros. He's won the Nations League. He's the highest international goal scoring player of all time. I mean, those numbers there for a goal scorer, just love him or loathe him, absolutely astronomical.
So this is just for their national team then?
Well, they can't score for other clubs.
How I interpreted the question was international being you've internationally gone abroad, say to another country.
It's what they've done. It's what they've done at international level for everything: friendlies, qualifiers, major competitions.
He's not the greatest.
He can have the title of best international scorer. That's really good numbers. If you want to give him that, he can have that title. But I'm not putting him ahead of Pele, who won 3 World Cups, one of them as a teenager. You know, hard to put him above Maradona for what he was like for Argentina. I would put Messi above him because I think Messi, albeit it took him longer to get to the mountaintop, Messi's had a much stronger peak where he won Copa America, World Cup, Copa America, back to back, pretty much being the best player in every tournament at the age that he was at. So you can be the greatest goal scorer, but I'm not putting him as the greatest international player ever because I think you need more honours for that. And Ronaldo, the stats on the international stage that don't benefit Ronaldo.
So just to confirm, what you've just told us is that Paul Scholes is a greater midfielder than Steven Gerrard because he's got more honours. You finally confirmed it, Tom. Thank you, bro. Thank you.
We've
been out there.
I think even
we've done this back and forth all the time.
Yeah, I think if you go in just off that, there's 3 people that go above him. It's Pele, Messi, and Maradona. I think's all above him to do with actual performance and stuff and how they are. And the thing is, right?
There's probably others that you got to think of as well.
Do you know what, the biggest thing that I take about international in nowadays? I find it much different than what it used to be because you're playing against Moldova and stuff like that. I'm not being funny. I think there's a way that you're going to look about goals in the future. You look back to this era where you see Kane smashing in goals, flipping Mbappe, Haaland smashing in goals against these like San Marino and stuff. It doesn't really have the same effect against doing it against France or something. So to do with just goals on the international level, it's kind of has a bit of an asterisk in the current time. But as Ronaldo is a player, man, like he is just unbelievable. Like
we put R9 above him? 2 World Cups, 2 Copa Americas, 4 Golden Boots internationally. Do you put Gerd Müller above him? 2 a World Cup and a Euros.
Can I ask you a question? Do you not consider, as well, it's fair, do you not consider the quality of the team that surrounded those individuals, though, at the same time?
Yeah, that's a fair argument.
Does that not play a part that Portugal had some good teams in the latter stage of his career? And I know they had Luis Figo when he was younger, but you're talking about a Portuguese team that he came into that whose leading striker was Postiga from Tottenham. Like, we have to be mindful that the players that Portugal had at their disposal. But this is the point I'm making. If you look at if Cristiano Ronaldo was at his peak playing for Pele or R9's Brazil or Zidane's France or Mbappe's France, would you say it's a fair point to say that he'd probably have a World Cup as well?
Yeah, it's a fair point. You said it for a lot of players.
If George but
was French.
And the only reason I ask this, and I'm playing devil's advocate here, because whenever it comes to players at club level, all I ever get, again, and mainly in the Gerrard debate, you yourself have sat there, and fair play to you, Henry, when we spoke about what Harry Kane achieved in the Premier League. It's like, no, but you've got to consider his team weren't as good as Man United's or as good as Liverpool's or as good as Arsenal's. yet it seems nobody wants to apply that logic to Cristiano Ronaldo internationally. And I'm just wondering,
but you can do for the last one.
Why?
For the last, do you think Messi winning the last World Cup? Do you think that Argentina squad was better or worse than the Portugal squad? Because I personally think the Argentina squad was better than the Portugal squad.
That's a really good point. Listen, I was in Qatar when that game happened, and I sat there on camera afterwards and said, "Look, the performances that Messi had, what he did in the final, I said that for me crowns him as the GOAT."
100%.
That's on an objective level. Subjectively, I won't ever put him above Cristiano Ronaldo because I prefer Ronaldo, and there is a lot of emotion and subjectivity in that, and I'm very, very aware of it. What I find interesting, what if, I just want to throw this out, like this, we're sitting here in just under 12 months' time. What if we're sitting here, 6-7 goals in the tournament? What if we're sitting here with Cristiano Ronaldo holding a World Cup?
Well, then he's closed the gap, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not a statement that can. It's not a statement that Ronaldo will never be that guy. It's a statement of right now, with all the cards laid out, Ronaldo, he scored the most goals, but he's missing what you play for. He's missing why you do it, and that is the big sort of mark against it. When the other guys that are in this conversation have that and were crucial to getting that. The problem that Ronaldo's got in this debate is that for all the goals he's scored, for all the the wonderful record. I mean, his name was there like 5 times under different sort of reasons. If you take pens or whatever else, you can go the other way. Is Ronaldo still not scored a World Cup knockout goal yet?
No, but you can go the other way. Most goals ever in the Euros by a long way. By a long way.
So you can go both ways with it. But that's the problem that we're getting into because we're missing that big honour. We're missing that World Cup.
And listen,
we're just going to be arguing back and forth about these honours.
As much as some people won't, I back it because that would make me a hypocrite not to. I'm obviously asking questions before people lose their minds as a host. But I do agree with you. That's the reason why I won't ever put Gerrard above Paul Scholes, because I saw what Paul Scholes did in 11 Premier League title races and doing it in those games. It's the equivalent on international level. What you do in those knockout stages of those competitions weighs so much more. So you get a comment from Garcia that says, by then your logic, the bloke from Iran achievements counts more since Iran are far worse than Portugal. But then Portugal and Ronaldo have played against all the other great teams on a regular basis, and he's regularly scored against them. So when Craig Burley said the other day the goals against and Armenia don't count because they're a rubbish team, and they put the graphic on the screen because he alluded to and implied he doesn't score against big teams, and you could literally see like Spain and Germany in recent games that he scored against. So the difference is I don't know much about this Iranian striker, but how many of these goals were against top European and top South American teams? There is a fundamental. So yes, the team you play for plays a part, but how have you then done against those big teams? If this gentleman from Iran, every time they went to a World Cup, was banging them in, look, he scored against Germany, he scored against England, scored against France, did this, did that, then there's a conversation to be had. But did he do that? I don't know. You're going to have to tell me, Mr. Garcia, as you're trying to debunk me there. But I think what you lead your team to winning is very, very valuable indeed. Personally, the player that I always, but I know that Ronaldo is down. All these guys go on there. The guy that I always think doesn't get enough mentions for the greatest international player of all time is Miroslav Klose. What that man did internationally at World Cups, and if you just take away his, he probably doesn't get the accolades because no one remembers what he did at club level. Like I can't think of a brilliant club
Bayern,
I don't even remember where he was. I think he was at Bayern.
I only know he was at Lazio at some point.
Yeah,
Lazio, Bayern,
he would go 4 years. Well, every 2 years you see him at Euros, but he'd go 4 years. You'd barely even see him in the Champions League and everything else. And then World Cup would come, and this animal would come out. And there was a 1 year, I think it was 2006, where like him and Podolski just out of this world. Crazy.
I mean, what you'll do is you'll look at the best in that. So like we're doing this debate now. That Spain team that had that run from 2008 to 2012, where they were the best international team on the planet. I don't think you're going to be putting a Spanish player into debate, even though they were in that really good team, because it just wasn't there long. Like, if he was a pick one, it would be Iniesta because he scored the World Cup final goal. But Xavi was. I think. Xavi
are we only going by goals, by the way? Because Tom brings up a really good point. Like,
Zinedine Zidane for France,
right?
For like how many years?
Do you think if France win the World Cup and Mbappe gets a golden boot, is he in there?
Absolutely. He really wanted it by 18
years old. That's the scary thing about
Mbappe.
Don't want women in this debate now because he's got so much time on it.
As an international, absolutely he's there. And I think international football can sometimes be judged differently. If you put in the comments then, Terry, but Ronaldo only has 1 trophy, he doesn't. He has 3. This is an absolute cast iron fact and cannot be disputed. But yeah, Ronaldo brings more than just goals. Though. Look, this man, especially in his younger years, forget judging him at the last tournament at 38 years old. We all watched if you watched 04, the Euros there, and how amazing he was. Again, a lot of you didn't know because some of you are not 21 years old in the chat. Some of you might say you're 25 or 30. One of you guys, like Maradon, says that he's 70, but no 70-year-old man talks like he does. You're definitely a kid. You probably didn't watch him play. If you're not 25 to 30, you won't even remember the 04 Euros with any real with any real clarity. So to sort of sit there,
I can't believe Greece won that. That is just one of the craziest.
Yeah, I mean, that final was so crazy. But loads of people I know didn't even watch it. We all just assumed Portugal would win it. They'd knocked us out. I remember turning the TV on about halfway through the second half. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I think they were leading at that point. Maybe they scored just. I think they scored quite early. I could be wrong, but. I swear they scored early in the game. It could be early, it could be late. I don't know. But I swear I turned it on and it was 1-0. But I could be completely wrong and have misremembered. No, they scored in the 57th minute. So they had scored just as I turned it on, about halfway through the second half. They scored fairly early in the second half. I think that's maybe what I remember hearing in the commentary. And I remember turning it on, I don't know, 65, 70 minutes in. I thought, fuck off. Because we all assumed, because you do, just 3 or 4-0 easy final, because it was only a year. I swear that was the same year that United had Millwall in the FA Cup final, and a lot of people thought this final would be very similar, where it'd be quite easy to get done. But yeah, look, a lot of United fans won't be happy. You got to push for Ronaldo. Look, again, listen, the man had great performances, lots of goals, but let's see what happens if he's integral in winning that World Cup this year. Let's see how it goes. Let's see. Some of you write some really weird stuff, man. Terry, Messi could have played for the prime Spain team, but didn't. I know he didn't. Ooh. What are we talking about? Weird thing to say. Pele, Maradona, Muller, all better than CR7.
Muller.
Thomas Muller.
Good.
Which Muller are you on about? Thomas
maybe,
or
both of them.
Both of them.
Good.
Both of them have numbers.
Yeah, I know.
Maradon here says, when did I say I was 70? You've definitely replied to that in the chat before. You were like, bro, I'm in my 70s. You definitely said that. Because there's a time where you always used to call me like my youth. You always used to do that. And then you'd tell me how much younger I was than you. I remember, bro. I remember you doing it. Hit the like and share button, people, if you haven't done so already. Next question. The final one's on Liverpool, United, and Arsenal. From the overlap. But I'm going to go to this one first. And I'm going to go to Anton first. No, I'm going to go to Tom. No, Henry first. This one. Fiction or football? Big Ange and Nottingham Forest will take points off Arsenal on Saturday in the Premier League.
Why are you asking Ange's biggest fan this? We know what his answer's going to be.
3 words. No fucking chance. They aren't doing... Listen, I redid my Premier League predictions video just to speak about how much of a disaster that is going to be. I noticed as well the Europa League odds have actually improved quite a bit. They might do well in Europe, but we have seen this man for the best part of 18 months to 2 years, tactically naive, and there is a blueprint out there on how to beat Ange Postecoglou. You just have to do an over-the-top through ball because that defence is going to be higher than the Empire State. So Nottingham Forest might be defensively better than Spurs. They might have a better midfield than Spurs, whatever argument you want to look at it from the team that he coached. However, Arsenal, if you want to win the Premier League title, you've got to beat Nottingham Forest. It's as simple as that. They've got more than enough tools available. You know, Saka might be injured, but look at all their players that scored the international break. I do think Arsenal will win this game. probably 2-0. There might be a little bit of a new manager bounce in terms of a performance in the first 50 to 60 minutes. But if anyone thinks that this is going to... I just see his video on Sky Sports now saying that he knew his way before. That is... The guy is a massive bullshit. He talks more shit at times than I do down the pub. Like, it's absolutely outrageous. He had absolutely no idea that he was getting the tic-tac until the morning of it happened. So... I wish nothing but the absolute worst for Nottingham Forest anyway. And the day he got announced was...
I just realised that the Gibbs White situation, now they take up the manager.
It's perfect.
Beautiful.
He's gonna I'd have a wager of anyone that he won't make the season.
I've already my hot take, and I will state this a hot take. Forest to go down. I'm going to put a few little pounds on it. A few little pounds on it.
I mean, then it would mean Ange would win the championship in the second season, keeping that.
Even today, he went, "Oh, but I've won a few trophies in my first season. I've won a league at Celtic. Like 50 other managers haven't done that."
In fairness, though, the championship's harder to win, in my opinion, than the Scottish League. I think the better teams,
more game with starters.
Yeah. Tom, what do you think? Do you think there could be a little sting in the towel at the Emirates Stadium Saturday 12:30? New manager bounce, or do you not?
No. Even just from a stylistic point of view, Nottingham Forest have went from 0 to 100 like that. Nuno barely wanted to attack, and barely wants to defend. These players are going to have whiplash from the messages they've been getting for 18 months. Chris Wood, has gone from being the target man with crosses lumped in the box to, right, we need you to drop in and then link up and then make sure you get in the box, but on the edge so that when the wings are making the run, and he's got that, it doesn't line up with this squad. You could see from the signings that were getting made and the way Nuno was talking that this was always the grand plan. I don't get how this was the grand plan after what Nuno had done, but this was always the grand plan. So we look at it now. I'm going, these players have done 12 to 18 months of, with all respect to what they achieved, shit football, and they've now got to go and play gung-ho football. It's not going to work straight away. It's not going to work. So if you're doing the biggest stylistic shift, I guarantee you a lot of the players aren't happy with the manager change, because I'm sure Nuno was quite liked by a lot of them. And then you're putting them against the second best team in the country, who are the opposite of what Nottingham Forest are, where Nottingham Forest are completely unsettled at this point. Arsenal have had the same manager for 5 years. They're settled in with all the ideas that they want to do. It's not going to work. It's not. They'll lose like 3-4-0.
Do you think they're going to games at Spurs? You might do the same with Forest.
Yeah, but do you, like, in all honesty, do you think the style of football is going to be any different, right, for this game? He only came in 2 days ago.
Oh yeah, 100%.
100%. Ange Postecoglou will live and die by his system.
I agree, but I don't think that they'll be doing that straight away. I think they need a little time to embed. You got to think people have just come back from international break, literally like today.
He would have sat down in a meeting, right, with a big ruler like he did with us, saying, "This is what we're doing. If you don't like it, fuck off." That is pretty much what he will say. We're playing this system, this midfield. You'll see Williams overlapping into the midfield, basically playing as a 10 at the Emirates. I'll be amazed if they played the same system that they did under Nuno.
I will say that the only thing that they've got going for them, I'm not going to lie to you, I've got no idea how they're going to set up or what their formation is going to be. Like, I feel like it's going to be.
They'll just get by on confusing everyone. No one's going to have any idea what they're going to do, so they'll get by on confusing people. I mean,
that's the only way that they can get a result.
All I know is they bought half a Botafogo in completely legitimate deals to not screw Crystal Palace over, definitely.
I feel.
And they bought like so many new players that are all built for this high-flying attacking football system.
Well, I feel a bit like, how do I say this in the right way? This is where, if you're going to make an argument, this is devil's advocate. This is maybe where they can shock Arsenal if Arsenal aren't prepared for how they're going to play. Yeah, that's the only thing I would say is because you would normally know what Forest were going to do. Maybe Arsenal go, right, they're going to go all out. And maybe Arsenal prepare today and tomorrow for all out Ange attack, but it isn't, and it's sort of more Ange in Europa, and it's more pragmatic. You would then expect, though, Arsenal were ready for that because that's what Forest always do. Maybe if Arsenal think they're going to be pragmatic and they come out all guns blazing, it can catch you off guard. That's the only chance they have of damaging Arsenal, is they catch them off guard a little bit. Sometimes, a fighter might come out and go into a southpaw stance, or they might try and take a fighter down rather than trying to stand up in the UFC, and it throws the opponent for a period. But I'll be honest with you, that's a very, very, very light chance. I see Arsenal sticking 4 or 5 past them. I think Arsenal are going to do to them what they did to Leeds. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think Gyökeres is going to get on the score sheet. I think a lot of people that have been... I get the banter, and the banter is acceptable to a certain degree, but I think a lot of people are going to have egg on their face after this weekend, and I think Arsenal are going to be going for blood, and I see 4 or 5 goals being scored personally.
Yeah, look, I want to take Nottingham Forest out of this debate because you guys have spoken a lot about him, but I don't care who's the manager at Nottingham Forest. Arsenal absolutely have to destroy them this weekend. Like just from my point of view as an Arsenal fan, I've just been sitting back the last 2 weeks with just listening to some crazy narratives post a Liverpool game, which was very, very closely contested. And I think we have yet to see Andrea Berta's Arsenal play. And I think people are going to be very, very surprised with what they see and feel very stupid for some of the things that they've said, because Eze is probably going to start and play most of this game. Nkapie's, I don't know how much involved he'll be given he's coming back from Ecuador and, still probably having to learn the system and stuff. But I think
Saka fit? Is Saka coming?
Here's the thing. If he is fit, I still don't want to play him because I've got Manchester City next weekend. I'll probably start him off the bench, but Noni's in good form. Yeah, Noni's in good form. He played well the other day for England.
Surely you go Noni as a Gyökeres.
He's just not that. Noni's just not the same player at club, man. He just isn't. He's just he's.
I mean, that's very easy to say. Like,
but he isn't.
He's in a different system now.
He's shown this his whole career, like so far, that he smashes club level, whether it's under 21s or now.
Yeah, Ash, but let's take a look at the evidence of Noni this season, right? Like so far, like the Liverpool game, he was Arsenal's best attacking threat, like right. And then in the for both England games, I thought he was brilliant. The one he played the other day, he was fantastic. So but
different opposition. You've got to remember this is the whole
thing.
Right,
exactly. So he had a good game against Liverpool. So you don't think he would?
He did not have a good game against us. He did not have a good game against us. Martinelli was a 1, Gyökeres was a 2, Madueke was a 4. He was the best of a really bad bunch. But at no point in that match was I sitting there going, "Oh God, Madueke's on the ball."
Go back and watch the first half. I've gained perspective. I went back and watched it yesterday. The first half of Liverpool Arsenal. Just watch the first 45 minutes, and your perspective on that will change.
I've watched the game back multiple times. All he does is outpace Gyökeres. He doesn't actually beat Gyökeres at any point.
Right.
He's quicker to get to the initial ball, and then when it's time to go one-on-one, which is what I was told is his specialty, Madueke one-on-one, he beats defenders. He got absolutely nothing out of Gyökeres. The only time in the game that Madueke got anything out of Gyökeres was when he didn't try and take him on and crossed it early. That was it. Every time he tried to take him on, he lost the ball. That to me is not a good game for a winger whose whole selling point is he will win his one-on-ones against fullbacks and put balls in.
Do you know what I think? Do you know what I think? It's going to be Noni's biggest problem for you guys. I don't think there's going to be a set position for him. I think he's going to keep on having to get filled on different sides of the wings.
There's not a set position for anybody in our team. That's the truth. That's the way Arteta likes to play. He needs players who can play in multiple different positions, so he can play different types of lineups and people who are versatile. Like most players at Arsenal can play more than one position in the side. That's just the way he likes to have it. So you could say that for Noni. You could say that for anybody else. Like But
I don't agree with that though. Are you going to see Declan playing a different position?
Yes, he already plays 2 positions. He plays left 8 and he plays CDM. That's 2 different positions.
No, but he plays like box to box, which like that.
He plays on Arsenal's system. We play with 1 6 and 2 8s. Declan Rice is not is difference between playing 6 for Arsenal and playing 8 for Arsenal.
So where are you going to see Saka? He's not going back to the bloody wing back, is he?
No, Saka's going on to the right.
Exactly. So he's got a set.
Madueke is not playing a huge part in our Arsenal season in general. That's my whole point. At the moment, Saka's not available.
No, but this is my whole point, Anton. Is Noni I see better off on the right, and that's Saka's position. He's never going to get in there.
Well, he's not going to get on the left either. On Eze's position.
Exactly. He's not going to get. So where is he going to be? He's going to be on the bench.
He's dead. I mean, like we have played many different competitions. We'll play in the Carabao Cup, which obviously is a massive upgrade from what we had last year, which was Sterling playing there in those type of competitions. He'll probably play sometimes in the Champions League because we have a lot of very easy ties in the Champions League this year.
FA Cup as well.
Yeah, FA Cup. He's going to play plenty of football, but it's not about. Yeah, I mean, what he is there for is Saka is not playing in all those games, and so we're going to able to keep Saka fit for what is important for us. And Noni Madueke is going to step in and do perfectly fine in all the other games.
But I think he'll be right this week. I think he'll be okay this weekend. I don't think he'll have any problems against Forest.
I mean, he's not going to be up against the fullback. The fullbacks will be playing in the number 10 position. And Paul That's
what I'm saying, though. That's what I'm saying. Like, we can compare him to Kirkez or whatever. We can get lost in that altogether. But he's not playing Kirkez this week. Like
Kay here says, Arsenal will struggle until they score a set piece, as always. Depending on how early that happens, the scoreline will be higher or lower. What do you make?
We can do all that, but it's not. Arsenal needed a set piece to beat United and created little of anything outside of that. Okay. They needed a set piece to get going against Leeds, and the one game he didn't get a set piece, he didn't score in. It's not
okay. I want to underline something in the sand here because I know Terry wants to move on. I just want to say this for all of our clubs. I'm not taking the first 3 weeks as a sample size for any of us, mainly because of the fact that the transfer window is still open. We've got players coming in and out. Look at Tottenham, for instance, right? They haven't seen Tottenham with Xavi Simons and Kolo Muani in the team. So we're going to make just statements based off the first 3 games. Like Arsenal went away to Old Trafford and to Liverpool, like in which we're going to set up tactically differently. In total, we haven't had the signings that we've made really play properly and gel in the team yet. So I'm not going to just say, well, Arsenal are always going to be only scoring from set pieces. It's something that we can turn to when our plan A isn't necessarily working well yet. But I don't think from this moving forward, it's going to be something that Arsenal's going to lean on as a crutch. I think we've got other ways to beat teams. Like Eberechi Eze, I keep saying this, is going to make a massive difference to how Arsenal look in attack. That's all. That's what I'll end at.
I mean, he is a massive upgrade on Martinelli, isn't he? Because he's had an absolute howler for the past few seasons.
Martinelli's so bad. Oh my god.
He started off looking so well though, and it just went downhill.
He's not developed the most crucial aspect, which is learning to look up.
What minute do you guys think Mohamed Kudus will get injured against West Ham?
How the fuck can we get there?
Hang on.
Someone just mentioned it in the chat.
Hang on. This is my bet. This is what I think. He'll get injured in the minute of the game that Paqueta bets on.
Yeah.
I think right. I've got one more fictional football question. And Liverpool, Arsenal, United fans, please don't get triggered when I say this. We obviously all heard this being discussed yesterday on the overlap by our very own Dan Lawless. But fictional football, Liverpool, Arsenal, and Man United didn't earn their giant status in the game. They got lucky as their success aligned with the start of the Premier League. Ash, to you first.
Do you know what? I think it's this is. I don't know how to answer this question. One, I would agree that of course their status has has stayed with their relevance in the Premier League. Because you could do the opposite and say, look, Forest, Leeds and stuff, because they got worse in the Premier League era, that they're not as, the status isn't as high. But that's because of the football coverage, the technology coverage, you think people in Arsenal, people in America can watch the Premier League all the time now because of the TV coverage. It's obviously fiction, man. Like, come on, what are we doing? Like, that's crazy.
Wasn't it in '92 they called it the was it Murdoch that used to own Sky?
Yeah,
Rupert Murdoch. The Big Five. It was Everton, Liverpool, Spurs, Arsenal, and Man United.
Yeah.
So
well, it's literally that's how you look at it. Is you've got to remember when the Premier League came in and how the football coverage has gone since then. So it's obviously if you're the top of the Premier League, you're going to have a higher status nowadays than what you did 100 years ago because of the amount of eyes that are on football. It's just
Man City and Chelsea weren't even in the conversation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, I just find that statement laughable, and it's
crazy, man.
Mainly my club. Liverpool are only in there because the success they had at the start of the Premier League era. From 1993 to 2000, we won a League Cup. That was it. That was all we won. We won a League Cup. The first season in the Premier League, we finished 6th. The second season, we finished 8th. The third season, we finished 4th. And we were hovering around 3rd and 4th, and then finished 7th in the last year before 2000. I don't know which success there is putting us in this. Oh, that's rather big. Not the 4 Champions Leagues we'd won before that, or the 19 league titles we won before that. It was that remember that year where we finished 8th and won a League Cup. That's the only reason we are where we are. Of course, it's
so
fiction.
true.
It's fiction. Honestly,
I mean, the fact that City and Chelsea have had the success they've had completely dispels that theory because they've just come in out of the blue and, with the money they've had, been able to create dominant, successful sides. So it's got nothing to do with how early Arsenal, United, or Liverpool started. I think I don't even want to entertain this question too far because I think he's starting to delve into insanity.
I mean, where's Blackburn nowadays?
So look, I want to say this as well. As well, I get that certain clubs, the size of West Ham, Newcastle fans. I had a Newcastle fan on Twitter today tell me that exact words. I said United were global long before the Premier League, and his words were like "fuck you were." So I already knew some of this stuff, but I had to go and research it, and I've got an article dropping about this as soon as we get the TFT Football Terrace account back on Twitter because we got hacked yesterday because somebody decided to use it without a VPN, and someone got hold of the email address. But we have got it back.
AJ in trouble.
It's offended because the people that hacked it, put like crypto stuff on it, even though it got deleted very quickly. But that being said, so I've done some research into this because I wanted to get the actual facts. Okay, Man United were doing sellout tours. Okay, which included Iran, Hong Kong, Indonesia, Thailand, and Australia in 1975. Sellout tours in all those places. Okay, there've been players, and they're quoted. This was back when they were playing, not when they were old and retired. Pele talking about George Best. The likes of Eusebio applauding Man United mid-match. Manchester United, of course, the Munich air disaster made a lot of people that didn't know about us know about us. Man United were clapped off the pitch on multiple occasions in the 50s by Real Madrid fans for how amazing we were at playing football. And it's one of these things that pains me to this day. Of course, the loss of life is the worst part. But Man United, very likely, with how good that team were, would have probably taken some of those early Champions Leagues away from the Real Madrid and maybe had 2 or 3 more in our kitty at this point. Man United had the biggest international supporters club in the world in Scandinavia in 1981. I believe this was. In the 50s, was doing huge US and Canada tours, bringing in crowds of up to 90,000 people at a time. And that's the bit that troubles me when it comes to these conversations is you start doing research into it and you realize we're actually bigger than I thought we were back then. And I do care about where we are now in terms of people saying it's because of the Munich air disaster. We were selling out 90,000 seat arenas before that. I do care where we are because it's not great to see my club in this situation. But when people say United just really think they're big, don't they? We just are. And I don't mean this rudely. Liverpool, we've got a Liverpool fan on this panel. They're comparable. Arsenal, Spurs, Chelsea, Newcastle, City. Historically speaking, when you put it all up over the last 100 years, your clubs are just not on the same level in terms of global size. It's just a fact. Arsenal and Chelsea have closed that gap massively in the last 30 or 40 years. But just defending my own club for a moment, when it comes to the Premier League is what made us big. United were already out of this world at that point. A phenomenon. Graham Souness spoke about this without meaning to, when he spoke about when United were rubbish in his time at Liverpool and Liverpool were the best team. He still said it. He went, United was still Hollywood FC. They were still the ones making all the headlines, even though other teams were better than them. Why? Because we were so gigantic. And even when it comes to the other teams, and I'll defend the other big teams here, Spurs at that point, along with Liverpool, were one of the only two teams in English football history to have done a double. Liverpool already had 18 league titles and were absolutely, and multiple league titles. You had the likes of Forest and Villa that had won, and Ipswich that had their European glory and were really big and well known. But when you look at the actual big six, Arsenal, I think, had the second most league titles in the country at that particular moment. You can make an argument for Chelsea and for Manchester City that their success in the Premier League era has helped to propel them because this brand is so massive and it gets you bigger quicker. That being said, teams like them, like Man United and like Liverpool, they had that success. Spurs had that success in other eras, and that's why they're still so big now. Spurs were only ever a brilliant team once, and that was under Bill Nicholson in the 60s. That size of fan base they generated in that period lives on now. Because most people support the team that their dad and their uncle and their most people follow suit. They support similar. And that's what's happened. I know that it was a bit of a hot take from Lawless, but there are people that believe it's true. That United were the same size as everybody else. Liverpool were the same size. Arsenal were the same size as everybody else in the early 90s. And the Premier League made us massive. And this is what I mean by the mainstream. I know it was a hot take section, but this is the mainstream media pushing this out. They never correct it. They never put little sub things up to go, this isn't true because of this and that. I'm not saying the overlap should do this, but I hear people say it on TalkSport. I've heard pundits on Sky talk like this before. It's a lie. Man United was selling out global tours in Iran in 1975, and you're saying we're not global. Fuck my boots. It's honestly, it's so frustrating to hear. I don't even mean it in an arrogant way. I don't mean it this way. We are, barring Real Madrid, Barcelona, you don't understand how big we are. And listen, I want Man United to win because I want the trophies. But the social media era, if Man United ever get back to the top and maintain it, however big you think other people's social media posts have been or parades have been, it will pale into insignificance, barring Liverpool. It just will. I don't think people realize the size of this football club. But sorry, I'm overrunning.
You know what, Terry, as well?
Great to hear.
That Man United are scary video is going to hit different when you boys are there, innit?
I hear you. Look, and as I say, look, I'm not digging any other club out. I'm not even trying to be horrible, but it's just stop trying to. And the one thing I thought was funny about Lawless saying it, right? And I did tweet in this, so it isn't like I'm having a dig at him. It's like, yeah, bro, maybe we all did make it big during the Premier League era, but you had no league titles at the start of the Premier League. You got fucking none now as well, mate. Just do one. None. Same as you. Well, Newcastle did have some league titles. You ain't won one, but it's the truth, man. It's the truth. Let's do a few more comments that have come in here. Okay, that's about Chelsea. Shows how far United have fallen. No, it does show how far we've fallen. But this is the thing, right? Do you know one thing Man United fans do that pisses me off? I don't want to talk about our history, man. Just want to get back to winning. Why? Because that's our standard. So you want to ignore our past to get back to a standard that you're planning for. It makes, again, the reason Standards FC don't like our past is because there's things in our past that you have to accept in the process of getting back to the top, but they want to ignore all of that. But they really do want to be back on the top. They just articulate it badly. May the 18th, 1975, Arsenal beat Singapore at the National Stadium in Singapore. I'm not surprised. I only looked up Man United, and I bet you can find Arsenal's and Liverpool's and Tottenham's doing very, very similar things. Very, very similar things indeed. And in the research I did, it was talking about how across the 70s and the 80s, Manchester United started doing. Listen to this segment I read here in this article. It says, meanwhile, this was during the this is one. Look at this. This actually involves Tottenham. So one match even featured a combined Man United Tottenham side, nicknamed Top Man. That's mad, isn't it? Right. This is going back a long time. Taking on a local 11. Okay, a local 11. Now this was in South Africa. Okay, in 1983. Man United and Liverpool joined forces and played like a mixed team against some local people. 30,000 people. 30,000. Some of these people moaning about us not being big can't even sell 30,000 home tickets now. And you're in the Premier League. United and Spurs did a joint team against some local people and did it in front of 30,000 people.
Who won the combined 11?
It doesn't say in this article.
It wasn't to have one place in the combined 11.
Meanwhile, back in Europe, Man United enjoyed home away from home status in some countries. It says nowhere was it more true than in Scandinavia. The club's attacking style and presence of players like Charlton and Jasper Olsen endeared them to the Nordic fans. So much so that in 1981, a group of Norwegian supporters founded the Man United supporters club in Scandinavia. In the late 80s, over 34,000 people were joined up to it, making it at the time the biggest international supporters club in the world. And this is the point. We had more fans, okay, in the early 80s in Scandinavia than these fans can sell tickets to their local fans at any point in the last 30 years. It's just stop. Just please stop. Like, lying about the history of other people's football clubs, and the mainstream media stop perpetuating this bullshit and fucking stop it. It's disrespectful at every level. Rant done, guys. I'm very sorry. I'm just very passionate about this stuff. I'm passionate about this stuff.
But that's why stay over the preseason, doing these international tours is so important. That's why that's why Newcastle under the PIF, we've only just started doing it. And
we don't need to do it really in South Korea like twice a year, but
yeah, that one wasn't great.
We know the market's there.
Yeah,
not anymore.
That Asian tour was a bit.
No, we got a couple of youngs. We got a Japanese player now.
Yeah, you show up to South Korea. That's it's a bit different.
Yeah, that's true.
This is Terry. In terms of pure domination, Liverpool are ahead of United for the last 30 years. United only dominated the 90s, where Liverpool dominated. Well, no, Liverpool didn't dominate for 3 decades. You dominated in the 70s and in the 80s. That's 2. United dominated in the 90s and in the noughties, if truth be told. So there's 2 each. The one caveat I'm going to throw in there is a team that was about to dominate died in an aeroplane crash. So United did have a team that was capable of doing it, but we didn't have 1 and you had 3. I would at least say it's 2-2 in that regard. 70s and 80s, United with the 90s and the noughties. 40 years of dominance from Man United and Liverpool, to be honest with you. That can't be disputed. In terms of dominance, because the United 60s team, we won things, but we weren't winning like Liverpool 70s team were. We just weren't doing that. What's also you got to remember as well, though, and this is not just Man United based, this is everybody. Nowadays, you don't have to win you could win the Champions League 3 times in a decade, but never win your league title. To be in the Champions League, you had to win your league title. So it was a little bit hard. Yeah, United. Well, no, the 50s, Man United were dominant. 52, 56, 57. Then the team obviously passed away and was also winning other trophies in that time as well. So, yeah, I'm going to go with 3 because I'm not taking the memory away from the Busby Babes. But look, boys, great shows.
Sorry, just for a comment. Kurt, you said you don't know a Newcastle fan out of Newcastle. I'm born in Newcastle, so there you go. You just found one.
Hey!
Hey! Didn't look far, did you?
No. I want to thank everyone who's tuned into the show. A big thank you to each and every single one of you. Please hit the like button before you go. Get yourselves subscribing to the channel as well. We're back tomorrow with more content for you. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you soon. Peace.